Hi, this is Steve. Thanks for visiting my channel. If you haven't been here before, or if you've been here before, welcome back. Today I was going to tell a little story. I used to listen back in the 80s and the 90s. I'm an old guy, by the way, 68 years old. So I've been walking around this planet for quite a long time. I tend to think of myself as an observer of things, of people in general, and where we live and our planet and nature, and you name it, right? I want to observe it. And I seem to have some natural curiosity about things like most of us do. Anyway, the point of the story today is that I used to listen to some motivational speakers back in the day. There was Earl Nightingale, had a whole series of tapes. Maybe they're still out there. I don't know. There was different speakers that talked on various topics. Most of them were motivational. Some were inspirational. Basically, they're all inspirational, kind of. But anyway, let me just get into one. One of them was Jim Rohn. He was kind of an entertaining guy. You can find stuff of his on YouTube right now, actually. I just watched one the other day. And there's one story I think it just for whatever reason strikes home with me. I think it's because I'm character number one in the story kind of sometimes, and I try not to be. I want to be more like character number two. But let me just get into the story real quick. Fellas gets in his car, he heads off for work. He gets on the highway, and as usual, everybody else is going to work too, and the road's busy. And once you know it, somebody cuts the guy off, right? So the guy is, this is me in the car, right? Why, you stupid, how did you get a license? You know, you must have paid for that and you didn't actually earn it. You shouldn't be driving a car. Get out of there. Go on home. What are you doing on the road? Get out of my way. I got things to do. I got to be to work. Blah, 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 blah. I could have died in an accident. You could have forced me into another car. There could be 1,000 car pile up, bodies piled up to the sky, yada, 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 right? So sometimes I actually amuse myself with the things I come up with if I decide to do a little, I like to call it lighthearted road rage. You know, I over the top road rage, right? So anyway, terrible thing, right? So I continue, you know, the guy continues on. It's not me now at this point. I'll go third party. The guy continues to work. He gets to the work, sees a bunch of people standing around there next to the coffee pot. And he says, you won't believe what happened to me on the way. This guy just cuts me off, right? He cuts me off right in the middle of all this traffic. And I could have died. You know, there could have been a big pile up and, you know, people's bodies stacking up and all that. He said, I don't even know how I made it through it, to be honest with you. But here I am. I'm so glad to be here. And, you know, anyway, on with the day, right? So as he's telling the story, of course, the crowd's getting thinner and thinner. Nobody wants to listen to it. Off they go. They go to lunch. Then he goes to lunch with his buddies, right? Same story. You know, I can't believe it. Can you believe the way people drive nowadays? This guy just cuts me right off, right? Nothing, you know, just like nothing, right? And I could have died. You know, there was traffic everywhere. I don't even know how I avoided an accident. I really don't. And when this guy just, you know, goes along the way. Now, meantime, the way the story goes is, the guy that cut him off has no idea that he cut him off, and he's just smiling, listening to music on his radio, and he's going to work too, but he doesn't even know that this guy exists, right? So anyway, so the guy goes home that night, and instead of, honey, I'm home, and then, you know, a pleasant greeting of some sort or whatever, what's for dinner, you know, that kind of thing. Instead of that, it's like, you won't believe what happened to me today. It's the same story for his spouse or his wife in that case, I guess. And so the moral of the story is that the guy that got cut off, his entire day basically was controlled by a guy that doesn't even know that he exists. Yeah, this guy goes merrily along his way, and this guy negatively impacted his fellow co-workers, the people he went to lunch with, and then he got home and with his wife, right? So I just thought that was kind of a great story because it kind of illustrates. A lot of times, I said many times, and I really believe this is true, that a lot of times you give power to people and situations and things that are said and a lot of other kind of circumstances that you really have the control, over how you're going to perceive any kind of interaction like that. You know, when the guy cuts you off, yeah, you know, it can be annoying. That's why I struggle with that myself sometimes. You know, I really do wonder how a lot of people got their license, and I think I would prefer to have the road be fairly empty when I'm traveling, but that's just me. And I think I've mellowed somewhat with age, but you know, sometimes it's just frustrating. And I think that I aspire to be somebody that's a little bit more tolerant, a little bit more patient, a little bit more understanding, because how do I know I haven't been cutting people off here and there inadvertently and I don't even know it, right? Because this guy's just merrily on his way. And I think it's a great lesson for, it's not just driving in the car and people cutting you off, it's everything, right? Sometimes people can say things and you can be irritated by it, or you just don't like it for whatever reason, right? And is it really that bad? Aren't they entitled to have an opinion? Aren't they allowed to speak? You know, you got to have, you have to realize that they have a right to say whatever they're going to say too. It may be, in your opinion, not very intelligent. It may be something that's really ignorant. It may be a lot of different things, but they have a right to say it. I always say that, when people say stuff that you don't agree with, listen. Maybe they have a valid point in there. Maybe part of it's valid. Maybe none of it's valid. Who knows? According to you, that's according to you anyway. But there may be something in there. And sometimes you can think, well, I wonder why he feels that way or she feels that way. Maybe, who knows, right? Everybody has their own, walks in their own footsteps, has their own life. So I think that's where tolerance comes in, and, that kind of thing. I think you got to just, as you get older, you kind of listen to stuff and you just, you either say, consider it a source, right, or write it off, or sometimes you say, yeah, there's a valid point there. Information is available to us from all kinds of sources all day long, bombarding us, especially nowadays with cell phones and the internet and news things popping up on your phone and all that. You're getting all the information you could possibly ever want or need, and a lot of stuff you don't want or need anyway. But to me, there's no excuse to not listen. I like the old saying that God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so you can listen twice as much as you talk, right? And I think if the world was full of people doing more of that, it might be a little bit more harmonious, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, have a great day. I thought you might like that little story, and I hope that you will find a opportunity in your day to think about that, maybe apply it in some way. But that's up to you. And once again, have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.